Good morning. Welcome to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. Well, you know, we are doing profiles in life and success. And then nothing makes me happier than profiling someone who I've watched over the years and am always amazed at the talent and the longevity of true talent. Because some talent is fleeting and some talent sticks around for a long time. The person we are profiling today is a perfect example of life, success, and longevity. Definitely. Jerry Bell, formerly of NewBirth and Dazz Band. Let it whip. He's here with us in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, baby.
How are you?
Exquisite.
Very good. Very good. So, you know, for anybody that might have been living under a rock for the last 30 years, tell them a little bit about the history of your musical career with first NewBirth and then Dazz Band.
Dazz Band. Well, actually, I would have to start back a little further than that because I come from a musical family background. My oldest brother is Archie Bell. He had a group called Archie Bell and the Drells from Houston, Texas, and they had a record called Tighten Up. We had a company out of Philly, Gamble, Huff and Bell, which was, it eventually turned into Philly International Records. And my first cousin is Tom Bell from that group, who was one of the great arrangers and writers, wrote a lot of stuff for the Stylistics, the Delphonics, Blue Magic, you know, and the list goes on, the OJs, and the list goes on. From there, my partners was McFadden and Whitehead, who also were writers for Teddy Pendergrass, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. They did Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Yeah. So I come from that regime, and then I have another cousin. His name is Robert Cool Bell from Kool and the Gang. So
wow, talk about an amazing musical family.
Yeah. So the music is very heavy within inside of the family. Mm-hmm. So when I left Philadelphia, I came out to California, and I was living in San Francisco for a while. And one of my partners, who is no longer with us, his name was James Baker. And James Baker and Tony Churchill were the two individuals that introduced me to the NewBirth. And NewBirth were two groups comprised in the Nightlighters, which was actually the original backup band for Bobby Womack. And then NewBirth were the singers. And so I was with NewBirth for a while, and in 1979, I left NewBirth and did a solo album on Universal. Entitled Winter Love Affair. And then in 1992, I was introduced to the Dazz Band by Ralph Johnson and Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind & Fire, because they were produced by Earth, Wind & Fire. And so from that point, it went on. And then about a year and a half ago, I left the group and ended up signing again back with Universal through Lotus Records Bungalow.
Okay. So is this a solo project or is it a group?
Solo project. Yeah, solo project. Actually, the single record, which is the title of the album, is called Been Such a Long Time, which Been Such a Long Time was actually, it's a remake that I did from the original NewBirth.
I remember that song.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a remake.
That's a slow jam classic.
Yes, indeedy. Uh-huh. And then the album at that time, too, was entitled Been Such a Long Time, 1973. So I redid it and put a little now on it, and it's moving, it's happening.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think it's time that we insert a little bit of now and hear a little bit of this song.
Been such a long time since I saw you. Tell me, girl, how long has it been? I'm so glad to see you because I really love you, yeah. Girl, you were my only friend. Oh, baby, yeah.
Now that is what I am talking about. That is a love song. That's what a woman wants to hear, Jerry Bell. Now tell me, why did you pick this classic to redo?
I could have actually sat down with some writers and some producers of today and did some things, but I'm not really impressed with the music, what they call music today.
Yeah, so few people are.
You know? So I wanted to reach back in the archives and grab something that I was familiar with very strongly, and two, that I think that the public would be familiar with, and that the new generation should get an opportunity to experience, because they really don't know. Most people who hear a song that an artist does today from the past, they think that artist of today wrote that song. And
I know,
it's
it's
theirs,
so funny to me when I hear my son, he's 15, and he and his friends be like, oh my God, listen to this song, it's so great. It's a remake. And you're like, what? I said, that's not an original song, it's a remake. Like, what are you talking about? When was this song out? And I'm like, before you were born.
Right, that's right. That's right.
So it's very funny that they don't really understand that so much of the music, the core of the bass line or the instrumental version or the words and actually come from something else.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about this generation is that there are very few and far between musicians. Mm-hmm. No one plays any instrument. There are no self-contained bands. I think the only one that of the generation that's self-contained that I really respect them, I like them a lot, is Mint Condition. Outside of that, there are no bands, and there are no people that really know. I mean, we had to learn music, we had to study, we had to play instruments, we had to write, arrange, compose, and lyrically, they say so much stuff that means a little bit of nothing. You know, it's really mind-boggling to listen and to hear this stuff that they're doing, and then when they do it, it has no soul. If you're not playing an instrument and you can't feel the thump of the bass or that stroke of a guitar, or the rhythmic movement of a sax player or a drummer's funk, then there's no feel in the music, and it means nothing. So people want to feel what's in the soul. You want to move the individuals in your audience. One of my best friends was Marvin Gaye, and Marvin used to write how he felt. If he felt love, he would write it, and he would compose and arrange that music so that you knew he was in love. If he was angry, he knew when Marvin was angry in his songs. Yeah, so the structure of music is not existing, and that's why I chose to do this particular song and put a little bit of different vocalizing on it than what it was when we had it in NewBirth. I think that the song is very appealing to the generation, the audience today, and the record company is pretty pleased with it. So
very good. Well, I'll make sure that the whole version is up on my webpage. Look at the entire. Is there a YouTube link for it?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, I'll make sure that YouTube link is up there so they can hear the entire song. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about you and growing up in music and how you've seen music change over the years. I would imagine that music 25 years ago is totally different than music today. And how is dealing with a record company different? How did that relationship evolve? Because record companies now are almost kind of a novelty.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I grew up in a musical family, so I had no choice, really, but to do music and sports. I had no choice but to follow the trend of what we were doing. And plus, when we were growing up, you were hearing doo-wop and you were hearing guys on the street singing on the corners and harmonizing. And I mean, this was the authentic, life. Young ladies that were singing, they could sing.
They didn't need auto-tune.
Correct. I look at some of the performers today that use these things in their ears so they can hear while they're on stage. We don't have that kind of stuff. In my essence, it's distraction. And so I watch all the new gadgets that they come up with and the new gimmicks that they come up with to perform. When I was coming up in music, there was Otis Redding, Al Green, Jackie Wilson, James Brown, you know what I mean? Luther Ingram. I mean, just a ton of people in the groups beyond your imagination. You knew the difference between Earth, Wind & Fire and NewBirth. Or you knew the difference between Brass Construction and Tower of Power. You knew the difference between Gil Scott-Heron and The Last Poets. You know what I mean? This kind of thing, or Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight. We don't have people like this anymore. And unfortunately, a lot of our pioneers are passing away. So the other thing, too, is I'm trying to keep the flow of the real music in perspective, and not go off the beaten path where a lot of people do this because they think that they have to chase the generation to catch up with them. No, let them catch up with you, So the Stevie Wonders exist still, Charlie Wilson, you have Lenny Williams, Jeffrey Osborne. I mean, we're still
Howard
here.
Hewitt.
Yeah, Howard Hewitt. We're still here, you know. So, and then you still have the groups, Earth, Wind and Fires. You know, you still have NewBirth is back in swing again. Dazz band still exists. You have Confunction, Cameo, Barcades, P-Funk All-Stars, you
Right,
know. I mean,
SOS.
yeah, SOS band, you know. So we're out there. Rolls Royce, Evelyn Champagne King, Gladys Knight, you know, and Little Anthony and Imperials. You have Jerry Butler, Billy Paul, you know. You have Diana Ross is still here. You have, you know, so many of us that are still existing. Actually, I'm in the studio right now working with Dionne Warwick's son, and we're putting together a compilation album to do with between myself and Dionne and Al Jarreau.
Oh, I love Al Jarreau.
Yeah, you know, and you got George Benson, you know what I mean? So the real downhearted music is still existing. And I think that the generation needs to catch up to us.
So where was the disconnect in music? Was it the lack of musical education in schools when the more and more that went away, people started playing less and less instruments? What happened in that disconnect where in the 70s, the 60s, the 70s, even into the 80s, all of this still existed, and then somehow in the 90s it fell off, and now it's just starting to come back around when you see some of these bands that are actually performing.
Yeah, the problem that existed partly is because the music was cut out of the school, but the other half of that had to do with the record industry, the record companies. Record companies were about making quick dollar. Whatever they thought was going to be sellable, you know, and less money that they had to spend, then, you know, they started putting out this stuff. I call it this stuff, you know, and the children. The generation of today, they're tone deaf. So they don't know what it is to hear beautiful harmonies and, you know, and these kind of things. When they turn the radio on, they're just listening to anything and whatever beat that a person puts on a record, they don't realize that that beat is not an original. It came from somebody else's music. It came from someone else's sound somewhere in this vast world of, you know, of musical notes. And it's not nothing that is that was created that's new. You know, they don't write music. You don't have anybody that sit down and really write anymore. I think Alicia Keys, she's a piano player, keyboard player. I mean, she's one of the obsolete ones that, you know, has the ability to do these things. But most of these other people, we call them music pirates. You know, they're robbing our ships, you know, taking our booty, you know.
So how is dealing with record companies different? Because now you have the experience of dealing with them back in the day, and now you're re-signed. What's the difference? When you walk into that record company, it's got to look different now than it did.
The interesting thing about it is with my company, with Lotus Records, the young lady that is the CEO of the company, her name is Cheryl Reed, and we had basically a relationship before she had even had the company moving as it is now. We were friends like way back, I think almost 7 years now. She's heard me perform, and you know, and we were basically loyal to each other. Because actually she was with the Warner Brothers, and she took me to Warner's, and they passed me. They said that I was too old. So I said, wow. And the gentleman that said that, wow, that's interesting. But so her deal didn't last that long over there. I think they had some kind of discrepancies, and she left, and she ended up with Bungalow Universal. And she brought me over to Bungalow, and they liked the stuff. And they decided that, hey, we're going to sign them. They now on Bungalow, the two what they call old school group people that they have is myself and the Barcades. And I think they're going to sign Lenny Williams, and then Cheryl is looking at Harold Melvin's Blue Notes and the Stylistics.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That'll be a wonderful return of music.
Oh yeah, we're actually preparing to go out on tour too. It's myself, Stylistics, Blue Notes, Blue Magic, and GQ.
Wow, what a night! What is that night going to be called?
It's called Love Soul. So we're doing Brazil in April, and then there's someone that's trying to book a all ladies concert in Atlanta for us for June. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah, and we need to do that here at
Yes.
92.3.
Actually, should probably just be called A Night for Lovers because the guys don't like being left out. And there's nothing like getting with somebody that you love, putting that blanket out on the hillside and listening to songs like this. So I think it should be called A Night for Lovers.
So it's a 2-day concert that we're doing, you know.
Very nice. Yeah. That sounds like a fun outside venue starting around noon, going till 10 o'clock at night out on the lawn chairs, summertime, kind of fun concert.
Yeah.
I might have to pursue that.
That's right.
So what do you think, audience? Don't you think that would be an amazing, amazing summer concert? I think so. Don't go away. We will be right back because there's so much more about Jerry Bell from the Dazz Band. You're not going to believe the international world titles this man holds. It's got nothing to do with music. And it's all coming up next on the Community Review, Hot 92.3. Don't go away.